Rand Paul will be the Republican nominee for president in 2016.
Fiction.
What?
Anybody else?
Okay.
Oh, it's not even, come on. This happens. He's going to do well in Iowa. He's going to do well in New Hampshire. He may do pretty well in South Carolina. It'll turn to the Midwest, and he will be his father's son.
But, Joe, someone has to beat him. Who's going to beat him?
I don't know.
That's the problem.
But
I would have agreed with you absolutely a few months ago. I don't see how Rand Paul can get the nomination in this party. But I have to continue to look at the field, and I have to come up with a name who can get the nomination in this party. I don't. Okay,
Mitt Romney.
That's a possibility. Okay.
I really believe he is so poor. It is just, Joe, it's out of nowhere. Once again, you run that tape. Guess what? He was right. And if he's able to have the demeanor of the guy who lost, if you were a little bit looser, and I got nothing to lose this time.
Mitt Romney looser. That would be a campaign to watch.
Unplugged.
Gene Robinson, power bores a vacuum, and Rand Paul in first place is the definition for Main Street Republicans is a vacuum.
Yeah, somebody, who will beat him? Somebody. I just don't see him as a nominee. And if push comes to shove, here comes Mitt.
Mitt Romney over Rand Paul. Mitt Romney over Rand Paul. Now, is there a chance that Mitt Romney runs again? Actually, there is, which is so sad, and it shows you how horrible the establishment landscape is when it comes to politicians, especially on the Republican side. So he may run again. And yeah, I guess there's a really tiny chance that he were to get the nomination again. But to just dismiss Rand Paul out of hand, like he has no shot, like he's not a serious person. Well, didn't Mitt Romney already prove he's not a serious person by getting his ass handed to him in the last election? And by making the 47% remark, and by being the robotic version of Thurston Howell III from Gilligan's Island? Let the media hack job begin on Rand Paul. They're doing here exactly what they did with Ron Paul. We discussed this the other day. Even on Fox News, which is supposed to be kind to conservatives, they treated Ron Paul like he had no shot from the beginning, even when he was leading in certain polls in certain states. He would come in second in a caucus and then a primary, and they would just sit there and be like, so what do you guys think about Rick Santorum? Oh, Newt Gingrich is probably going to win. Let's talk about Newt Gingrich, even though he came in fourth and Ron Paul came in second. Oh, because he's a serious candidate. What do they mean by that? What they mean is, oh, well, the corporations and the rich people want to back Newt Gingrich and want to back Rick Santorum, and they're scared of a guy like Ron Paul in 2012 and a guy like Rand Paul today. Why? Because Rand Paul is much less up the ass of the establishment. He's not a big fan of the NSA. I don't know if you heard. He's also not the biggest fan of droning, although there have been some contradictory comments he's made on that one. But here's who definitely doesn't like him. The military-industrial complex. Believe me, Boeing, Raytheon, KBR, Halliburton, the rest of them. Abrams, everybody who makes tanks, planes, guns, and wants us to continue to be the world policeman, they're shitting in their pants at the prospect of Rand Paul winning in 2016. So what do? Well, that's where the establishment suck-ass media comes in, and they do a hatchet job from the beginning. They're already declaring so far out from the election, he's not a serious candidate. Why? Well, his last name is Paul, and he doesn't want to invade every country, everywhere, ever. No, Morning Joe, the real not serious people, that would be you. That would be the entire cast. Your ratings suck. They've always sucked. The only reason you're still on the air is because the people on Wall Street and the people in Washington look to you for the wisdom that they have. Oh, what do the billionaires think and the people on Wall Street and the establishment politicians? Let's turn on Morning Joe and find what vacuous, vapid talking points they have today. I love how across the board on the panel, except maybe Lawrence O'Donnell's holding out a little bit there, but everybody else is like, Rand Paul is not serious. Mitt Romney's totally serious. He could totally win the presidency, except that he fucking didn't. Buckle up, guys. See, this is what I'm talking about, man. This goes back to that whole libertarian-liberal alliance thing that we mentioned on Friday. There's a reason why the media does hack jobs on true progressives. They do hack jobs on Alan Grayson. They will do them on Elizabeth Warren. They've done them on Bernie Sanders. They do it on them, and they do it on libertarians because these are people who actually don't like the establishment, who actually would make some changes. And by the way, beware, because Rand Paul, he's a little more savvy than his dad was. Okay, his dad, I have quite a bit of respect for Ron Paul, except those racist newsletters. But he's much more principled than any other Republican is. But his problem was that he didn't know how to make a nuanced point, and he didn't know how to bullshit. Rand knows how to bullshit. And I have a feeling that while Rand might not agree with his father on everything, he agrees with him on a lot of things. So if he could be, I would prefer Rand Paul out of the Republican field over any other of those goofball, idiot, asshole Republicans. So don't rule him out just yet, man. The establishment is going to come after him, but he's pretty fucking savvy. So we'll see who wins in that battle. Now, again, I'm not saying Rand Paul is going to get the nomination, and I'm not saying Mitt Romney is not going to get the nomination, but the idea that they're as 100% as they are on this Morning Joe panel as they're showing themselves to be here, that tells you more than the actual conversation they're having.